Hello viewers, you're watching QTV, the Gambia's first private TV station, and we are broadcasting live from our studios here on Kairaba Avenue. My name is Aliu Sise, and this is your weekly State of Affairs program, aired every Tuesday at 9 p.m. and repeated on Sunday at 10 a.m. Well, for the first time, the Gambia, through the Ministry of Land, has developed its first national land policy. I'm sure you will be surprised why now. Well, this is achieved through the support of the World Bank under the Worker Project, and the policy aims to address various land-related challenges, including, of course, land conflict, resource management, and land use planning. And joining me this week to better discuss this policy and other issues relating to land in this country, I have in the studio Mr. Aliu Baji, who is the Director of Physical Planning and Housing. Mr. Baji, good to have you in the program.
Good morning, Aliu, and good morning, everyone out there.
Oh, we are night now.
Sorry.
I know you're jealous and this. So
because since I left home, I
exactly,
did not go back, so
yeah.
I'm still in town waiting for this
Exactly,
thing.
yeah.
Anyway, good evening, everyone out there watching, all viewers, and thank you, Aliu, for inviting us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baji. And also in the studio, I have Mr. Abdul Toure, who is the National Land Policy Coordinator. He's been very critical in this whole process. Mr. Toure, thank you for coming on the program as well.
Thank you, Mr. Sise. Good evening, viewers. We are happy to be here today with you to discuss issues around the first ever national land policy for the Gambia.
First ever land policy, national land policy for the Gambia. Mr. Baji, why now?
Well, for me, it's better late than never. However, this is a thing, it's not maybe government was not looking into it, but maybe this is the right time also we have it. So as far as we are concerned, we'll not say it is late, but it's a blessing in disguise, because this is something which we need as a nation to address, I would say not all, but almost 90% of our land issues in this country. Because if you look at the land policy, the issues it is looking at and the addresses it will also bring in will be almost tackling everything. If you look at the system we have at hand, almost I would say everything is manual. Okay. So, but with the help of the land policy, it will help at least almost digitize everything and register everything. So in a nutshell, the land policy, we will say it is late, because if you look at since independence, almost 60 years, there's no national land policy. And if you look at the national land policy, it's not only the ministry, but almost all the players when it comes to land, both government, private, everybody is involved. Even at the local level, everybody is affected when it comes to land. So the land policy is going to address everything as far as the policy is concerned.
Good. I mean, we'll discuss further about the land policy, because we know the lack of a policy has created so many problems in this country as far as land is concerned, which your department is at the center of everything. Mr. Toure, I mean, you have been a key player in the development of this policy. Yes. Take us through the process. How was it like developing a first ever national policy, non-existent?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Sise. First of all, I have to say that I don't work for the Ministry of Lands, but I'm hired as a consultant by the World Bank project
under the
Worker Project, okay. To support this process. I'm an input of the bank to the ministry. Okay. So I'm coordinating the formulation of the policy. Basically, like I'm the pen holder, okay. Coordinating the work. But to be quite frank, the work could not have been possible without the participation of everybody. Okay. Not only the Ministry of Local Government, but all the sectors that have something to do with land are all part of the process, from the center to the regions, to the ward level, to the village level. Everybody contributed to this process. So yes, on the process, it's as I would say, we started with a roadmap. We developed a roadmap for the formulation of the policy. Okay. The initial stage of the roadmap was really to come up with the governance structures to ensure that at least we develop participatory structures that will enable participatory processes. So we had what was called the thematic working groups. We had 4 thematical working groups when we identified really the key issues around land issues.
Okay.
And these thematic working groups comprise of 72 institutions in the country, from the public sector, from the private sector, from the civil society, from the academia, the University of the Gambia. Everybody was part of these thematic working groups. Okay. The first thematic working group is on land tenure framework. The second one is on land use, planning, and management. The third one reviewed all legal issues around land in the Gambia. And the fourth group was concentrated on land administration and public administration. So these were the thematic working groups we were developed. And the thematic working groups also were working on the National Steering Committee, which comprised of all the permanent secretaries, sector permanent secretaries that have something to do with land, environment, agriculture, local government, all of them, natural resources, fisheries, and the like. So they are all part of the steering committee, and they guide the process because they are key stakeholders in land administration or land management in the Gambia. So when we had the structures in place, then the thematic working groups started working. We gave them clear terms of reference. We developed terms of reference for them. They had series of meetings for almost a period of about 3 months. Yeah. So each of these thematic working groups did some research work, did desk review, and came up with technical papers, issue papers in relation to the team which they were given to. So with all these things and all the consultations we were done, we used this, we put all these thematic working groups and really started the consultations. The consultations started with all the regions. Then we went to the ward level, we went to the district level, we went up to Fatoto, we went to Wuli East, coming down everybody, because you know that land has some cultural issues.
So it was all inclusive.
Yeah, all inclusive. So if you want to deal with land, you have to really land touches on everybody's culture. So we took into consideration the diversity, the heterogeneity of Gambian society. So we really try to target everybody. So when we came back also from the regions, from the ward consultation, from the district level consultation, we had discussions with specialized groups, with only youths from everywhere in the country were put together to discuss youth and land issues. We had also consultation with women only, women and land issues only. We had special discussions with also differently able people, commonly known as people living with disability. Yeah. We had a whole day also with them talking about disabled people with land. And we had very, very, very sorrowful stories that really touches everybody. And really the policy is very, very sensitive to all those things. We had discussions also with the private sector, investment and land. They told us also their issues, their stories. We had also special discussions also with the civil society and the media, and also include the NGO community, the non-state actors. We had a special discussion also with religious bodies through the facilitation of the Supreme Islamic Council and also the Christian Council. We had really taken into consideration the religious dimension of land, and the policy is very much informed about that also, because Gambia is a religious country. Yep. You are either a Christian or you are a Muslim. No? So definitely we cannot do a policy without really getting their views on it. So when we got all these discussions and all these consultations had a report.
I was coming to
a special report.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had numerous reports, and also the technical committees did some literature review. So we converged. We had a small writing team, which I coordinated. We spent 5 working days in Mansakonko, in Soma particularly, really to draft the report, the policy. But prior to that also, as a lead consultant, I really already developed a framework for it to facilitate really the easy discussion when we had the retreat. So at the end of the Mansakonko retreat, we came out with a draft, the first zero draft of the policy. And this was also subjected to a lot of reviews. We circulated it widely, internally in the country and also externally. and also particularly with our Gambia's development partners, the World Bank, the Islamic Development Bank, the African Development Bank, and also some organizations that are very strong with land, like the FAO, the Food and Agricultural Organization. They have a whole land center in Rome. So we liaise with everybody, and the GIZ also. They are very, very much concerned about land, and they've done a lot of work, land-related work in Africa. So we contacted everybody, we sent our draft, and we received comments from them. So all these comments were reviewed, and the domestic comments that we had locally to produce an updated version. That updated version was finalized on the 4th of March. That was the document that was used for the regional validations. We went around also to all the regions to say, yes, we were here during the discussions. This is what you told us. Huh? And finally, this is what we have in the draft policy. Is it in line with what you said? Is there any gap? Huh? Or do you have new things that you want to contribute? We went around the whole country again. We came back. We had the urban consultations, validations also. So along this line also, during this period also, we are still receiving comments from our external partners. As we sit here now, yesterday only, we received 3 comments. We had a bunch of comments from the World Bank in the Africa region and in Washington. We had another series of comments from GIZ in Germany. Okay. We also have some comments from indigenous people of Congo. Huh? There are some NGOs who are advocating on land resources in Congo. They came to do a presentation. They voiced it to the Honorable Minister, and they came out with 2 reports on their views about land in Congo and how it should be managed. And we are integrating all these comments now. We reviewed them. In fact, for that group that came to do the presentation, we had a one-to-one discussion with them because we're using the conference room for all these consultations now. Like you said, I mean, you went around the country. Yes. You went as far as Wuli and Fatoto. And everywhere. Like you said, I mean, you had touching stories from people that shows how passionate they are about when it comes to the issue of lands. What were your 1 or 2 key takeaways from those touching stories that you have from people that you think, should be added to the report? One of the things which is common here, if you look at our courts here, it's full of land cases, and they never end. They have been dragging for so many years. Yeah. You find in most places in Congo here, one plot sold to 3 to 4 people. Yeah. Huh? Everybody is with a document signed by the alkali. Huh? So people go to court, finally. Some people even threaten to kill each other. Yeah. So that's just an issue that needs to be addressed immediately. No government will allow that to happen. That's one of the driving forces behind why the government has taken this move to come up with a national land policy. The other issue is, we all know that all the land documents here are fragmented and they are paper-based. And we know that that's not durable. The main reason why you have all these double entries and all these things is because it's paper-based. But if it was digitized, nobody can do that. Yeah. So that's one of the issues that also the policy will really have to address. We all know also of all these problems that are associated with people putting up structures in places where they are not supposed to put it. These are all issues. And we also know also that that land, some people don't have access to land, particularly women. They don't have access to land. The young people don't have access to land. These are all issues that needs to be addressed by the policy. Because about equity and addressing inequalities. So the land policy talks about that also and how to do that. Okay. Yeah. And back to you, Mr. Baji. I mean, how does this policy fit into the mandate of the your department, physical planning and housing?
Yes, thank you. As Mr. Ture rightly said, if you look at the 4 thematic group themes he highlighted, the land use and land management is 100% under physical planning, because physical planning determines land use, and they are also mandated for the land management. So the land policy, if it is looking into that, which means it is giving physical plan a right direction, how to approach when it comes to land use. Because if you look at currently what we have, most of our land use cases are just discretional. But if you have a document which is explicit and telling you this particular area, this is what is the land use is. Because even if you look at the policy, it is looking into a national, how to call it, a national land use plan, which is going to be country-wide. Because what we have is just within the Greater Banjul and some of these growth centers. But what the policy is looking at is to look into a national master plan, which is going to cover the whole country. Wherever you go within the country, you'll have an explicit land use, which is going to tell you this is what is going to happen here as per this document. So which means...
So basically, without a policy, we don't have that in place as far as your department is concerned?
No.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, it's not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Mr. Ture,
Yes.
coming back to the policy, I mean, how does it, address the issue of, this customary land tenure system?
Yes.
I know.
You know, as I told you, currently you have 3 types of tenure system in the Gambia. One is the freehold.
Okay.
The freehold is only applicable to Banjul, part of Cape Point, and Janjambure Island. These were lands that were issued since during the colonial days. Okay. But when we talk about Banjul also, we talk about main Banjul, excluding Boxbar and Tobacco Road. Boxbar and Tobacco Road were issued during Jawara's time, and they are leased properties. State land released to the residents there. But the rest of Banjul is freehold. The families own it perpetually. It is doomsday. So that's what a freehold meant. Then we have another set. Here, Combo St. Mary's, Combo North, Combo South, and Combo Central are all declared state land by the State Land Act of 1991. That means the state is the landlord. People can own land, but they become leases. So that's what the law says. But the rest of the country, about 80%, is all customary owned. Land is owned because your forefathers own it. You are the first settlers, or how you own it is through inheritance, customary ownership.
And talking about, the state owning the land in you said Combo St. Mary and Combo Central.
Combo Central, Combo North, and Combo South.
You mean all those lands
are state land, yes.
That's
state land.
But how comes, alcalos and real estates are selling lands? How are they able to purchase these lands to sell if it's belong to the state?
Yes, if you look at
what is the role of the physical planning in this whole thing? Because most of them who buy lands, they tell you documents that is from physical planning.
Okay. What the document they have from physical plan, that's the land use report. That's not title, that's not ownership. You understand?
What's the difference?
No, the difference from land use, this is determining what can be used on that land. That's land use. That's why you will proceed to have your occupancy certificate. That occupancy certificate, because it is within the state land, that's why at first it was a certificate of ownership. But because it is within the state land and government own that land, now you are occupying it. It is called certificate of ownership. Occupancy. The certificate of occupancy, you are occupying the land. Then from that level, you can proceed to lease it to government. So that's the difference. So now if you look at what you are saying about the alcalos, maybe selling like the estate agents don't just go and grab land. They have it from these indigenous people, as he rightly said. You understand? So through that, they need
who are mostly the customary owners?
Yes.
Okay.
You understand? So you need to process it, have your documents before you even sell. You understand? So that's the procedure. But it's not like maybe you jump in and sell it. Even alcalos, they don't have specifically, you say the alcalo own this land. The alcalo is from a family or a cabilo. You understand? Within those families or cabilos also, they do share land. You understand? So as an alcalo, if they share and you are at the father's level or maybe the son, you will take whatever is your father is not maybe living, you have to inherit what belongs to your father. If you are part of along the father's line and the fathers are sharing, you will have your share. So that share is between you and your immediate family. You understand? So that's where the alcali can say, I own this land, I sell. But not because of you are the head of the village, you own all the land.
So who is eligible to benefit from these state lands? Since you said all these lands are owned by the state.
You see, okay.
Yeah, if you look at the state land in 1991 when it was declared as state land because it is gazetted. So normally what government normally should do is they should give a grazing period. Because if it is declared as a state land, whoever has land within that state land is a deemed lessee. So you have to register your land to government. You understand? So when you register it to government, then government will have all those lands documented. Whoever fails to register your land within that given period, then government will take it. Then
develop how? Build structure, build home?
No, I said register. I don't mean develop.
Okay.
Register.
Register and develop are different.
All right, okay.
You understand? So if you don't register it, government will take that land and that will be direct government land. You understand? So now, if that is registered, it will be, lease in the name of that person owning that land, or the kabilo or a family, depending on the duration of time. Because if you are a Gambian for residential, it will be 99 years. A non-Gambian, it should be 21 years. So these are the two different things.
And Mr. Toure, I mean,
yes.
Back to the policy again. I mean, we are known for developing policies in this country, but implementation has always been a problem. And looking at the issue of land, as sensitive as it is, where do we start implementing as far as implementation is concerned of this?
Okay, you're right, Mr. Sise.
Especially within the West Coast region, issue of land.
Yeah, you can have a very good plan,
but
if it is not implemented, it's like you don't have a plan. But actually, from a planning point of view, I went to a planning school. There is always this saying that it's better to plan than not to plan. Because if you don't plan, you plan to fail. So however bad a plan is better than not having a plan. But I agree with you, implementation is a key question. In fact, during the consultations, everywhere we went, they say, yes, you wrote nice things, you can write nice things like as usual in the Gambia, but implementation is a problem in this country. But we hope this will change, because actually this policy is not only the government, it's national ownership. And I think everybody is committed to see that the existing problems around land are addressed squarely. People are tired of what is happening now, and they want solutions to it. So that's what's convincing me that at least at the implementation stage, at least the government with all other partners will come together to ensure that this policy is implemented. So the implementation is divided into 3 phases.
Okay, good.
You have a policy. We are working also on an implementation plan. Okay. It's a 10-year policy. It's 2026 to 2035.
Okay. All right.
2026 to 2035.
Okay.
So we have the immediate actions are to be implemented within 3 years. Those are the low-hanging fruits. We've unplugged them and we'll identify them and say that these are the immediate ones that needs to be done. Then you have medium term from 4 to 6 years. Then you have the longer term, which is 7 to 10 years. The more difficult ones that will take time. They will go up to maybe between 7 to 10 years. So it's phased out into three phases. Okay. Short term, medium term, and long term.
Yeah. The issue of land grabbing and speculative buying here and there, especially by non-citizens and the elites. I mean, have raised public concerns, of course, among Gambians. But how does the new policy propose any mechanism to safeguard public and community land interest?
There are a lot of issues here. People who speculate on buying land, they have to understand that you can own land. Nobody will prevent you from owning land. But if you don't use the land, you'll pay tax annually. Nobody will buy from here to Katong and sit down and sleep and just be keeping the documents. You will be ready to pay per square meter of every land that you have that you've not used. Because land is meant to benefit us.
But now people are buying lands to bank them for future benefits.
But that's what I'm telling you.
Instead of putting their money in the banks, they are now buying land.
But that's what I'm telling you.
And then in the next 5 years...
Yes, but then you have to be ready to be paying the tax every year. That's what the policy is saying. You cannot be buying land and living in line. It's not being used for agriculture. It's not used for anything. It's not used for housing. It's not used for anything. But just for banking, waiting for tomorrow, a better day. So you have to pay tax for it. So every land you find, even in Greater Banjul here, Serakunda here, which is empty, nobody's doing anything there, that's going to stop. You'll pay tax. If you can own it. The state will not intervene to take it. but you will pay tax every year for it, for having empty land. Whether it's farmland or anywhere, that's one of the measures in the policy. Because land is supposed to benefit us. If you don't use it to benefit you or benefit others, you pay tax. That tax will be used for the development of the country, so that everybody benefits from it.
And back to Mr. Baje, many will argue that the lack of a policy is responsible for all the problems we are having as far as the issue of land is concerned. To some extent, some people believe your office, the fiscal planning, has also failed in its mandate to ensure that we have a proper management system in this country. To the extent now you go, instead of being active, you are now becoming more reactive, going around demolishing structures. Perhaps some people say, okay, maybe because all the prime lands have been sold by the government, they are now going after individuals who are just started getting a home to demolish their structures. How do you react to this?
But if you said all the prime land are sold into government, do you have evidence to that? We have to be specific and be clear on the information we send to you.
No, but this is a perception of many people. Yes. It's now up to you to react and explain.
No, but even if you tell me perception of the people, I was expecting to have evidence, because government have the mandate to acquire land for planning purpose or public use. Okay. And when government acquire land for planning purpose, it doesn't take it as government. It gives it to the citizens.
Who are the citizens that the government gave land to?
Everybody.
Like who?
The Gambians are citizens.
I know. Tell me.
Yeah, because civil servants are there, non-civil servants. Who
are the civil servants?
Government officials, government workers.
National Assembly members?
No, if you say, no,
allow me. National Assembly members?
No, National Assembly members are not civil servants.
But they are given free lands.
No. They are Gambians. No, they are Gambians.
Well, I'm also a Gambian, but I'm not given a free land.
It's not about giving. You apply for it. Land, you applied for this land, and it is allocated to you by the government. Okay. Not always maybe they demarcate land, look at you, give it to you, and deny him. No, you apply. Through the application, they scrutinize the applications.
But don't you think, Mr. Baji, I know you are a director, you might not want to say certain things, but we want me to understand, one day you will move on and someone will occupy your position, right? But don't you think the issue of giving free lands should be given to those underprivileged, those indigenous cadres, not per se a National Assembly members for God's sake, and a state minister for God's sake? These are people that I believe they have what it takes to buy their own lands. There is someone out there who cannot even afford to buy a land. Yes. Perhaps a police officer, a teacher.
Mr. Cisse, one thing you should understand, whatever we are doing, there are laws backing it. Yes. Okay. And there's no law which says that when land is allocated to Gambians, you should look at who is rich, who is poor, who is a woman, who is a man, who is disabled. Wow. It says you need qualifications to be allocated that land. And government even realizes one thing. Most of the low-income earners allocated land, they cannot develop it. They end up selling it to these people. You are saying they are elite people.
I really want to know who are these people that you say have been allocated lands. I don't know. I haven't seen anyone.
Which one? No. I have seen messengers, drivers. You understand? Grade 4, grade 3 people who are allocated land, but they don't have that income to develop it. They end up selling those land to people. You are saying that, let's say they are the elite people. They develop it. The same people come and rent there. So now even the angle government is looking at is, instead of allocating the plot for you, they're going to develop it and it will be mortgaged to you. At the end of the day, you have a home to live. And you not even wait until you retire, you get to that house. Even during the working time, the house will be built, you are living there while paying that mortgage. You understand? That's what government is looking at. But government have been allocating land to, let's say, the drivers, the cleaners, the watchmen, the laborers. They've been allocating land to them, but the deficit government realizes is, at the end of the day, they don't have the enough money to develop those properties. You understand? Yeah. So if you look at, let's say, maybe you say an elite, because for me, as far as the laws are concerned, it is for Gambians. And when you apply, you are not asked for what is your bank account, or maybe what is your salary scale. The yardstick is you have to be a Gambian. And everybody.
So how does one apply? For example, if my colleague Yusuf wants to apply for a land.
Okay, normally.
How does he apply?
Yes, because.
And what are the requirements?
No.
Since you said it's open to all Gambians.
When a residential layout is created by government, you understand, it is advertised, even on papers. Then people go and buy application forms. It's only $100 at the Department of Lands and Surveys. So when you buy, you submit. So when you submit, it will put in a file. Then the file will be submitted at the ministry. Because of there's a land allocation committee which looks into those applications. And people need to be interviewed and ask certain questions as per what they feel in the file, in the application form.
Just before we go for a break, has this government created any estate as we speak? We're talking about government creating an estate where people layouts sort of.
Which government, if it's a government?
This current government.
But government is continuity.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Yeah. Do we have government layouts that people can apply?
No, right now?
Yeah.
No, we don't have any residential layout as of now.
So meaning we can apply then?
No.
No. Because you cannot apply if the layout is not created. Because if not, then government is robbing you. Okay. Government have to take money from people if the layout is available.
Okay.
Yes.
I think the last layout was Salaji.
Salaji. Well, interesting. Well, viewers, you're watching QTV, and this is your weekly State of Affairs program. We'll go with a short break, and when we return, the discussion continues. Do stay tuned.
QMoney is back again with its easy-to-use, secure and convenient mobile app that allows you to carry out all your transactions. No matter where you are or what time it is, you can always access your funds. With the new QMoney app, you can cash in and out, buy credit, buy Q Power, shop, make payments, and so much more. You can also send QMoney, pay bills, receive international remittances, and transfer cash to others. Just download the app from your Play Store or App Store and get started. For more information, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Calpe. We innovate, others follow.
Hello viewers, welcome back from that short break. You're watching QTV, the Gambia's first private TV station, and we're broadcasting live from our studios here on Kairaba Avenue. My name is Aliou and this is your weekly State of Affairs program. Mr. Toure, I mean, you had Mr. Baji talking about the issue of land allocation, it's not just for the elites and those in higher positions or politicians or those close to the corridor of power. Has the policy addressed this issue?
Yes. Definitely one of the key things that the policy addressed is really how the vulnerable groups, marginalized people at the bottom cadre of society, how do they access land is an issue. There are a lot of recommendations in the policy. There are a lot of commitments in the policy. One is if government designates a layout now, which they have to give. They have to really ensure that a quota is established for women only. And they have to also establish a quota for people living with disability. They have to establish a quota for people with low-income earners. To ensure that at least you have a mixture, the allocation will be representative of the Gambian society. That is for sure. That guideline is there. And as you mentioned, there will be a land advisory committee that will review and use these guidelines. There will be set guidelines there on land allocation, particularly by the state, which they will make recommendation then to the Honorable Minister for Allocation. Okay. So that's for the first time this is happening. We want to see that every allocation is given when it's done by government. The quota for women is there. Okay. The quota for disabled people is there. And the quota for all the other marginalized groups are represented, so that they have access. And as Baji highlighted, the policy is not much more encouraging land allocation by the state. Okay. But what the policy is really advocating for, provision of affordable housing. Okay. Because as he highlighted, the problem he highlighted, you can allocate land to people, but if they cannot build, they are not really selling it and using the money for other things. Yeah. So it's short-term measure. So, but if you provide a low-cost housing so that the guy can live there who is paying rents and be paying rents there, but for a period, after maybe 10, 20 or 25 years, it belongs to the person. By the time you retire, you have a home and that your children call our home. So that's the whole direction now of the policy. That's what the policy is recommending.
Earlier on, you mentioned the issue of the real estates. I mean, 2, 3 people buying the same land from the real estate. Mr. Baji, what's your relationship with these real estates? There are quite many now. The real estates.
Real estates.
No, can you
Who
repeat it?
regulates them?
Okay.
Well, we part of the department regulating the real estates because we deal with them directly.
Oh, really?
Yes, because of
how do you deal with them?
Yeah, because during their documentation phases, because when they apply for land use report, they have approval. When they process their document until they are completed, they do this thing we call a layout. They have to prepare a layout which they will send to the department for approval.
Okay.
Then after approval, it is put to them that all the social amenities created within their layout will be allocated by government. So which means those social amenities will be taken by government to avoid them keeping them later, demarcating them into residential plots and selling them out. Because of we observe that, because if you look at every settlement, there are certain social amenities needed because you bring people to a new settlement where they are living, they leave certain things they were having access to. So if you bring them to a place where they don't have those things, the tendency of those people struggling to get those services is difficult. You understand? So those ones will be maintained by government and to be allocated by government.
So let's establish this for the sake of our viewers, for them to understand. Yeah. You mean the real estate, before they are given any layouts or before they sell these plots, they get clearance from the physical planning department?
No, it's not about they get clearance from physical planning. What they apply to physical plan is the land use report. So the land use report will determine whether where they get that land is suitable for that residential purpose. That's the first thing. So if that is confirmed and it is issued to them, they will continue with the area councils until they complete their documentation to establish their ownership. From there, they have to design a layout. You understand? So the layout will be submitted to physical planning for scrutiny and approval. So after approval, they are subjected to demarcate that design layout on paper, on the ground, to confirm that whatever number of plots and sizes they have on paper is reflecting on the ground. Because of, if you look at a layout design, when you design it, that's on paper. Normally when you go to the ground, most of the time you have either sometimes less plots, because of land is not as flat as paper. You understand? And the comfort you have on the paper, you don't have it on the ground when you are doing the demarcation. You understand? So those are the two things physical planning look when it comes to the real estates.
I know, I mean, your man has been out on rampage. You were in Salaji, demolition.
Rampage? Yeah, that's harsh.
Exactly. So, okay. Last couple of days ago, you were in Old Yundum also demolishing structures. I mean, a layout by SNJ Properties, I mean, and they claim to have legally acquired this land from the customary owners and obtain approval from your department. So why are you demolishing the structures now?
Yes, I think one thing we should understand when it comes to Yundum with SNJ, you see that land, people don't understand that that land was forfeited by government during the Algali Commission. And it has a cabinet paper and it has a white paper to read. So, however, when that land was forfeited at first, it was given to AMRC to sell. So, during that period, MRC started selling a portion. There are certain portions even were tendered on, how to call it, they were tendered anyway. So, people also buy those lands. So, then the government of the Gambia have a support from the Taiwan government to build how to call it, to build a more modern camp for the Yundum barracks. Then the government decided that, well, if that is the case, why not we annex this other land to the army barracks? So if you look at further down at that place, when AMRC sold part of those land, those people already started developing. So they said, okay, fine, hence these people started developing. Let us just allow them. Then the remaining one, which is sold and it is not developed, they will be compensated. Most of those people were compensated at Salaji. Some of them were compensated elsewhere. You understand? So now, the communities around that end were also farming on that land because it was a virgin land. Because that initiative development did not come. It's just a portion. If you go to the army barracks at the back, you see some of those structures there, but it wasn't completed. So people were farming there. Even if you pass by at that time, during the rainy season, they will find mostly groundnut and these coos. They will be farming it there. There was a portion, the boys were using it as a football field. They were playing there. So then, after, people started claiming that land. And all those people claiming don't have any evidence that they own the land. Okay, there's one Thomas who has a lease there. You understand? So his lease, he applied for change of use to government. Then government give him the approval, but a portion was forfeited because of, if you apply for change of use when it is an agricultural lease, there's a portion to be forfeited by government depending on the size of that lease, of the land, the size of the land. So a portion was taken. Then SNG were assigned by that Thomas to sell on their behalf. So he was selling. But it went to a time within that reserve land of government, he started selling to people and giving them assignments quoting the lease of that Thomas. So if he's saying that he has legal documents from physical planning, let him prove it.
So you knew all this thing was happening at the time? When did you knew that he was doing this?
He was stopped not once, not twice, not 3 times.
But how comes he continued to sell that place?
Well, along the
what
way...
What were you doing? I mean, if Mr. Toure, if you knew Ali is selling this plot of lands, you have the mandate under law to come and stop me. Why didn't you do all this thing until most part of that land was sold to the extent that people have to, start erecting their structures there, only for you to come and start demolishing them?
I can say...
Is that the issue of reactiveness that I was talking about?
This is the second time we are conducting demolition at that place. Because when they started selling, they started fencing. We did a demolition there. That time it was only fences. Then after they sued government to court and put an injunction. You understand? So the injunction refrains government from the land.
That's at Brikama Magistrate Court? Or Brikama High Court?
I think it is the Banjul High Court. I cannot remember exactly. You understand? But if an injunction is passed on a land, both the plaintiff and the defendant has to refrain from that injunction until the court decides. You understand? So what they did is, during that injunction, government stayed away. So what they did is, they went to people and tell them, build fast. You understand? When you build, government will not do anything. But the thing is, we've been also engaging people, because with all that, we went there and served demolition notice to people, informing them that this land they are selling to you doesn't belong to them. And this document they are giving to you are not legal. Before you do anything, you have to make sure you have your documents and have your development permits before you build. We do that to people, and that's the best we can do. Because for me personally, I can remember certain people even came to my office, and I informed them. That's why I was not even director, but we talked to them. But this is Gambia.
So it means both you and the victims are or have all violated the law then?
How?
Because you have also violated, because there was a court injunction to say don't demolish until the edition is taken on the case.
No.
Yet your men are there demolishing.
No,
meaning you are violating
no,
that
wait,
same
let me
law?
help you. The portion which was taken to court is not this whole area. It was just a portion just immediately after where Thomas's lease stops. That was where it was taken to court. But the remaining land was not in court. You understand? Even where we conducted this demolition, was it day before yesterday? No, on Friday. It's not part of the injunction. It's not. Yes.
So, I mean, I know... Mr. Ture,
No, I just want to say that the issue of the real estate is touched by the policy.
This all confirms the importance of the policy.
Currently, there is no regulation. You are right.
Yes.
But one of the action points, and particularly one of the immediate action points of the policy, is the government has to come up with a regulatory policy. Because out of these 100 and something real estate agents that are working in the country, really with good regulation.
Some of them are briefcase.
That's what I'm
real
saying.
Estates.
Yeah, with good regulation, you will not have even 2 digits. You will have maybe less than 10 with good regulation. And because they are dealing with the public and they are dealing with people's resources, they need to be regulated. Just like how the banks are regulated by the central bank, how the forex bureaus are regulated by central bank, how the insurance companies are regulated by central bank. So the real estate agents have to be also regulated. They have to put a deposit You cannot operate a bank, or you cannot operate an insurance company, or you cannot operate a forex bureau, because you are dealing with resources. You have to deposit an amount at the central bank, and that's the regulator.
And you need to apply the law.
And
you
have to
just
apply
wait until
the law.
things fall apart.
That's what I'm saying.
And you start reacting.
So basically, the policies, number one of the first activities is really having a regulatory framework and empowering the regulator to regulate all these real estates so that they do the work well or they are cleared out of the market. Because they are really one of the problems. Because main causes of the land issues is the real estate.
So during the formulation of this policy,
Yeah.
what were some of the loopholes you observe at the physical planning that you think, hey, I think
Physical planning,
could have done better?
Physical planning lack capacity.
Okay.
The whole of West Coast, you go to Birkama, maybe their office, you don't find more than 5 people there.
Okay.
And they are supposed to supervise all development activities. According to law, you cannot even dig a soakaway in your house without getting a development permit.
Well,
That's what the law says.
Build anyhow.
That's what I'm saying. But people are building anyhow because they don't have all the men really to do all the supervision. And not only men, they are not mobile also half of the time. So really, they are constrained. They have a lot of challenges. And then one of the issues in this policy is to build the capacity of all the stakeholders involved in land administration and land management. This policy cannot be implemented without building the capacity of the actors. So that is one of the key things. You cannot give 300 villages to somebody based in Birkama to supervise all the development issues that are taking place there without even a motorcycle. Or maybe the motorcycle is there, but there is no fuel. That cannot go.
Or maybe we will sell two of our OIC
So
vehicles and get them at least 3 pickups.
They don't have a vehicle. In fact, the whole provinces, when we went out, everywhere we went, there was a general outcry that even if they want the service of physical planning and land services, accessing them is a problem.
They don't even know whether there's a physical planning.
No, physical planning, in fact, is better. Because physical planning almost on all the regions.
Yes.
But the numbers are not adequate.
Yes.
The quality and quantity is not adequate.
But what I mean is that they only make their presence known when there's a land issue.
No,
At
the regional.
In most of the cases, that's what happens.
No, they are at the regional level.
I mean, they are there.
Yeah, but
they are there.
Even for them, that's what I said. Capacity of
Exactly.
them.
Yeah.
The capacity is not there. It's not also their fault only, but it's the nature of how their capacity is. Two people, like you go to CRR, you find maybe 2 people there, physical planning.
As big as CRR.
As CRR, the biggest region in the world, in the country, north and south, 2 people. So you go to some communities or districts, they have never heard even about physical planning. They don't even know what the work of physical planning is.
That's exactly my point.
So and that's an issue.
Exactly.
But all that is because of the numbers and the way how they work.
Now, Mr. Baji, I mean, now that these victims have spent so much money on these structures, I mean, why are you prioritizing demolition instead of maybe other options? Perhaps have them compensate you.
Other options like?
Have them compensate.
No, but
okay, now you have built your house on this, as you claim, illegal place where they shouldn't be. They compensate you just to maintain their structure.
But who should compensate them?
Maybe the victims.
No, I don't say who to be compensated. Who should compensate the victims? Because they think...
I mean, the victim can compensate you. That could be an option.
No, okay.
That could be an option.
Yes,
At the end of the day, there are citizens like you and I.
Yes,
and
I
you said
agree.
all states belong to the land. And because all lands belong to the state.
Yes.
Yeah.
So...
Yes, I understand that part. Because if you look at that area, government created a layout there. And honestly, there are some plots which are even been allocated to people.
Yeah, especially that area.
You understand?
That's where the MPs are allocated.
No, it's not that area.
It's not around.
It's an extension, yeah.
No, it's not that area. This is
around that area.
Yeah.
No, we have to be specific because of I don't know what do you have with this.
I mean, it's around the barracks.
Yes.
Yes.
That's where the MPs are allocated.
No, but
unless
it's
if you are telling me different.
The land this site is slightly different, but it's
exactly. That's not the same area.
Yes.
It's the same area.
No, because
it's the same area.
No, okay. They are allocated within that area, but not where the issue is.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, around the same area.
Yes.
Around the same area.
Yes. No, okay, that will be at the ministerial level. We look at it because what happened is if you go to that place, honestly, I just wish you go and visit that place. Now what they are doing is this S&J is even blocking routes and selling it to people. Access is even a problem there. You understand? Because the thing is, at least if they followed the plan, how it was demarcated, and maybe sell it that way, at least it will be properly planned. But now, even if government want to, let's say, negotiate with those people and leave them there now, who is going to solve the problem of, let's say, for example, you encouraging in somebody's property, you blocking this access, and you already build a house there? Are you going to demolish the house and remove the access, or are you just going to leave that guy blocking that access? That's a problem.
So will you carry out more demolition?
Well, as far as the laws are concerned, yes.
Mr. Ture?
Yeah, on really what's happening now, I cannot say much about it. Okay. What I can talk about is what's in the policy and the way forward. Okay. The way forward, the way forward, the government is interested in really everybody having affordable housing. Everybody has to have a house to sleep in. Huh? So that's the policy.
But not all the lands are being sold, Mr. Ture.
No, not all the lands.
Because the number of real estates in this country, Mr. Baji knows, it's unbelievable.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Real estates will be regulated.
No, but if you look at
and secondly also,
there are all the lands are sold.
No, but not all the lands.
And guess what? Most of these places, you go there, you don't even find any reserved land, maybe for markets, schools.
But that's what he was saying.
Exactly.
That's what he was saying. You cannot do that.
So that's the problem.
You cannot allocate an estate without public utilities.
Without public utilities.
Yes, public facilities.
And the next thing you know, you want government to bring in development. No. Where are they going to bring in development? Are they going to demolish your house to bring that development?
So that's one of the reasons.
Poor planning.
That's why one of the reasons why the regulation is
poor
important.
Planning, like you said. Poor planning.
It is not all about. It's not all about the money. It's also about the capacity, and also even what she said, owning the land. Some of these real estates, they even give out land that they don't even own. Yeah. Their documentation is already. The case that you are highlighting, I have a friend who has a plot there. You know what the real estate guy was saying? We still have some things that we are settling with government. Yeah. But you can continue with your development. Huh? We are still settling with government. Yes. Huh? It means it's not, they don't own the place. So that's a problem. But at times also, the public needs to be educated about these things. Huh? If you are buying land, you really have to really know. Land is not about, it's not like going to the shop, corner shop and buying bread. You spend a lot of money. It's your life's fortune, your life savings. You invested in something. Before you invest in something, you really have to verify and know that this is really sure this guy owns this place. But at times, some of these guys, because you are just in a hurry, you want to have a place, you can live even half of the process out.
Because they got that reassurance from the real estate itself that everything is clean. We are working with the physical planning, like you said. You work with them. But when you come to me as a real estate and you said I have this, it is clean. Yeah, you show me documents that you are working with physical planning.
Verify.
And some people they even show you documents to claim, okay, this is from physical planning.
No. Those documents.
No, that's what I'm telling you. Whatever you have from physical plan, that's land use. It's different from the title to the land. It's different.
Physical planning.
Whoever gives you a document that this is the A, B, and C, take it and verify.
Yeah.
So in this case now, if you demolish these structures, the real estate is there, the victims are there. What is going to be the role of physical planning in ensuring at least these victims, even if they don't recover all the money that they spend on those structures, at least they get back something to restart? Listen to it. No, they almost just spend their life saving into this thing.
Yeah.
Imagine having to start from zero again.
I know.
So I think you have a huge role to play.
No, what I'm
and so that the real estate, they compensate these victims.
Yes, you know one thing is happening in this country is, let's say, for example, let's take the example you are saying with the real estates. Yeah. They will go and take money from these people. At the end of the day, nothing happens to them. You understand? But they have to be taken to court, because the thing is they are responsible. Because of if you sell a phone to me and I buy it, realize that it is stolen, I'll be taken to police with you. It will be taken and give it to the owner. Whatever the law puts on me and you, we'll face it. But then after, I have a responsibility to make sure that the phone you sold to me, I have to get my money back from you. You understand? But when it comes to land, that doesn't happen. You understand? So I know government is looking into it to make sure that all those people who are affected based on somebody selling them a stolen land, they have to face the consequences.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. I understand time is up. I mean, Mr. Toure, it was good to have in the program for at least sharing with us, I mean, the importance of this land policy. I mean, all these challenges we are complaining is as a result of a lack of a policy. And this confirms the importance of having this policy and how timely it is, because the issue of land is becoming more and more problematic in this country. And Mr. Baji, thank you so much for coming and for sharing your views with us regarding some of these issues. I know some of them are not easy to discuss in the media, looking at your position and all those things. But then, you know, these are things that we must discuss. And I think moving forward, I mean, these are things that your office also soon learn from to ensure that at least, you know, the issue of land, we don't compromise with it as far as this estate are concerned. We don't just look at today, but let's look at tomorrow. So our issue of land is key. We don't just go around giving lands to everyone anyhow, because, I mean...
No, if you check it, physical plan don't give land. You understand? People have
but you approve.
No, you have to understand.
Ownership is not physical planning.
Okay.
You have to understand one thing. Physical planning...
In 5 seconds. Okay.
Physical planning don't give land.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
Physical plan only issue the land use.
Okay.
You understand? Physical plan don't have...
That's good. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on the program. That was Abdul Toure, who is the National Land Policy Coordinator, a land policy being developed by the National Coordinator, consultant developed by the ministry through the support of World Bank's funded worker project, and Aliu Baji, who is the Director of Physical Planning and Housing. Thank you so much for coming on the State of Officer program. Viewers, do join us next week. Until then, bye-bye from me and the entire production team.
Thank you very much.